Okay, we made it.
Yeah.
Barely.
Hey, you pushed the right button. You pushed a button, and apparently.
Yeah, but I messed up a little bit. I didn't take us out of the stream. They got a quick peek at us before the credits started.
What was I doing? Was I doing anything wrong?
Oh, you were.
Oh God.
You were all good. You
Okay.
were all good. Hold on, I have to pour myself a little something here to get myself through what I'm sure is going to be a difficult evening.
It was only a matter of time before this happened.
Yeah, but before we get into that, let's get into some pleasantries.
Some just bon mots that we can toss at each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Doing good. Everything's good. Really anxious to get that second shot so I can start getting out there more and getting out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Seen Brooklyn. I've seen it. Oh, have I seen it?
Yeah.
This whole area, this neighborhood that I live in, I've seen so many parts of it now. So I've seen it.
You've lived there for a long time, but
Yeah.
you've seen a lot more.
I have had multiple chances to observe different streets and doorways and parks and benches and things. Yeah.
You could have done a lot of good photo essays.
Yeah. How's by you?
Nah, whatever. It's fine.
Let's we're getting stir crazy. It's the end of the lockdown. Obviously, we're starting to stress about this. Just need to get out of here. Yeah. But that being said, have you seen anything other than this? Have you seen it? Can we recommend anything to people?
I can recommend a new series on HBO called Mayor of Easttown, which is
that the Kate Winslet?
It's the show? Kate Winslet show. I think the acting is spectacular on across the board, and it's the kind of acting where you feel like you're spying on people. And the writing is terrific too. It's just.
So what are you saying? Are those people? Is everybody naked on that show all the time?
No. It's just everybody's just so natural and raw and just they're playing a lot of unattractive characters, and nobody's apologizing. Everybody's bringing a lot of honesty and humanity to these damaged people in this damaged town, very realistic portrayal of what a lot of this country looks like, places that are downtrodden and
it sounds really good, and you're not selling me on it at all.
I'm not selling you at all.
It sounds terrific, but I don't want to see it.
No, the plot is really captivating.
Okay.
And Kate Winslet is doing some spectacular work.
All right.
A lot of people are doing some really spectacular work.
Well, great. What's it called again? The Mayor of Mayor of Easterbridge.
No, Mayor of Easttown.
Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah. Mayor is Kate Winslet's character's name.
Oh, there's a little interesting thing they do there.
Yeah, she's
with
not
a double meaning.
Yeah.
So, but you'd think, hearing the title, that Mayor of Easttown was referring to the person who's running the town. So there's an ironic.
No, it's not mayor. It's mayor. M-A-R-E, mayor.
Yeah, but you're saying it right now to me, and I'm hearing it, and it sounds exactly the same as mayor. If you told me the name of the show,
Mayor of Easttown,
you have to admit that you already know the answer, so you're front loading this for yourself.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
I'm telling you, I think it's a brilliant flip of language, a little double entendre.
I didn't even think of that. Wow. I think I didn't think of it because the first time I saw it written down rather than hearing it.
Well, why wouldn't it have been Nancy of
Nancy
Easttown? If it was her name.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But let's move on. Let's move on to people insulting us. Let's talk about that.
Oh, yes. I almost forgot that we were going to do that we had some feedback.
I didn't forget. I will never.
Well, I almost forgot, but I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, we got a comment.
Out of the vast number of comments that we get, we just get tons of mail.
We're gonna pick this one out of the 7 that we've gotten, maybe 8. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I should read it. I don't know. But what was interesting about this comment is he was commenting on our discussion of
well, we don't know if it's do we know it's a he or who we don't know the person's gender.
He calls himself Sci-Fi Art Man.
Oh, Sci-Fi Art Man, right. Okay, so we can assume perhaps that he is then a man. Okay.
Yeah, but maybe not. Who knows? We haven't met.
No.
So there could be anything going on. And what's interesting is, I looked him up, and he's an artist. So he does sci-fi and fantasy art and illustration, and he's really good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, his stuff is really, really good.
Well, good for him. I'm very pleased.
So
maybe he should stick to that, though. I'm just like, maybe that's what his specialty is.
Yeah. Well, but also, his specialty, I thought a lot of the stuff he had to say about the movie was really, really good. And what was interesting was I felt like a lot of the stuff he had to say about the movie was in complete agreement with a lot of the stuff that we had to say about the movie.
Well, I mean, okay. Yeah.
And yet he felt it necessary to lead off his comment with an insult to us.
You got to just read what he says.
Okay, he says, it's worth seeing, in quotes, because we said that. And then the little emoji of which I believe means sticking your tongue out at somebody.
Okay.
And then he says, what an elitist couple of phonies you guys appear to me.
Right.
So, yeah, we're elitist phonies. And I think we're not. I think we are.
Well, I take umbrage with that.
I think we're authentic elitists.
I think I'm yes. I think there's nothing phony about my elitism. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Here's another thing though. Before we go too far into it, I went to look at the comment again before the show tonight, and he deleted it, which is
there was no need to do that, Sci-Fi Art Man. I doubt you're listening to the show because you didn't seem to make you happy, which is totally fine. And I'm actually just kind of confused because although I'll admit it, I was a little hurt by your comment, and you led with a pretty, you led with a nice jab, and that's fine and accepted. But then you went on to basically agree with everything that we had said about the movie.
Except for our feelings about James Coburn. That's the only place that we disagreed.
Okay. So I think we've established that he's probably a big James Coburn fan and took it personally. Or maybe it's James Coburn. Have we thought about that?
Wow. But then James Coburn would have gone to a lot of trouble to put together a huge online presence as Sci-Fi Art Man.
I haven't been following him though. I wouldn't necessarily know if he was a painter or did other stuff.
Maybe he does. Maybe that's what he's been up to lately.
Well, I don't remember. See, the funny part is, like, I like James Coburn fine. I don't believe that anyone's ever accused him of being a comic actor. I don't think that's ever happened. So, fighting for his place here, I look, man, I know when you want to fight for Sci-Fi Art Man. I know when you want to fight for what you believe is, an unpopular, but nevertheless opinion that you really, Seth, please, man, save this for when I made my point. I still, okay.
Well, that was me.
Seth says that he thinks James Coburn is dead, and I think that now I believe he's correct, but I still think maybe it's somebody that knew James Coburn.
He's a lonely James Coburn wannabe troll.
Maybe. Nevertheless, you lead with calling people phony. You're going to get some pushback about that because I'm either a phony or I'm an elitist, but I'm not. It can't be both. You have to pick or choose one.
Yeah.
I will accept either, but not both.
Okay. Yeah. How's your bujo? Have you been still up with the bujo?
My bujo journal is reduced to just a day of lists with dots next to it that I check off. I mean, I'm not really utilizing the bujo experience for all it's worth. I'm not tracking my habits. I'm not gratitude. I'm not grateful. I'm not totally ungrateful. I'm clearly, at least according to my journal, you would look at my journal and you wouldn't really see me grateful for anything.
I don't do a lot of gratitude work. I use it mostly as a productivity tool, but I do still feel like it has just about doubled my productivity, which I'm grateful for.
Well, you're still, yeah.
There you go.
I don't see much change though, is the thing. I mean, you have a new shirt on.
Do you like this shirt?
I do. And I think that we're both wearing blue, which is weird because we never do that. And now we're both wearing blue at the same time.
I could go get a baseball hat and put that on.
No, let's keep it the way it is.
Okay.
People have to know the difference between us.
So, Seth Michael May also said this, which is a good transition into what we're here to talk about tonight.
Oh. Well, Seth, I'm glad
for those in the podcast, I should read that. Seth Michael May says, "I want to apologize for suggesting this film."
That's very big of you, Seth, and I accept your apology. I'm in a very big mood today. I feel very big-hearted, and I'm going to accept your apology. And
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no apology necessary. We'll just start it right off. Let the battle begin.
Okay, we are covering a film that we've been waiting to do this kind of movie for a while. Because Matthew believes that I have a livid hatred of rom-coms, which I don't think is really accurate, but that's how you've kind of painted me. Yeah, actually. I don't believe that's true. I think there are rom-coms that I do like, but this one is called 27 Dresses.
Yes. And you don't like it.
We haven't gotten there yet.
I'm getting
ahead of yourself. So this was. Please explain why we're here. What's happening here? Why has the show gotten to the? Why has the show gotten here? How did this happen? Other than Seth recommending the movie, there was a plan.
I wanted to do a rom-com loop with you because I thought it would be interesting to get into some territory where I perceive you and I as being very different.
Mm-hmm.
And I will preface this by saying I do think that many of my thoughts and feelings about rom-coms, and particularly some of the rom-coms that we might be watching, are thoroughly indefensible by any standard whatsoever. And yet I enjoy them. So I thought it might lead to some interesting conversations rather than just the two of us saying, "Wow, yes, I loved it too, and wasn't that cool?"
Right. Well, nobody wants to hear us do that.
For you to ridicule me are always interesting and amusing.
Okay. Well, I've got my sleeves rolled up already. But Seth had recommended us to see this, or he at least told us to watch it. I don't know if he recommended it.
He said, he says his friend is the flower man, and he knew the director from high school.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So here we go. We started off our rom-com
romp
with the movie that to me is neither romantic nor funny. So I don't know how Is this a rom-com? I actually don't know. I would have to ask you because
it's an aspirant of
okay,
of the genre. It aspires to be a rom-com.
okay. It seems like to me, almost more than any other genre, the rom-com changes decade to decade very much. Like you can really tell. I guess it's similar to horror in that way, where you can really tell decade by decade maybe what I know you can with horror. The preoccupations of that decade all filter into that movie. And do you see that with rom-coms? Does this fit into a category of rom-coms? Since I mean, you're an expert here. I'm really
I'm not an expert. I haven't done a study of this. I don't. Is this what I said to Mom earlier today? I said I like rom-coms. Rom-coms are like weed to me. They're my weed. I can put on a rom-com and go, eh.
Hey, you know what? That's wow. All right. I take umbrage with your assessment of weed. You clearly smoked a lot of weed and know what you're talking about. Because that's every time I smoke, that's what I do. I make that noise. That's just what it's like. Wow.
Oh, it's gonna be ugly tonight.
I know it's.
No, I like them because well, okay, here. I love formula and have always loved formula. And I love watching things, good or bad, where I know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know if that's a character flaw, if it's because maybe it makes me feel smart. Maybe I sit there and think, oh, look how smart I am. Look at what an elitist phony I am. I knew what was going to happen hours before it happened in the movie.
So in a lot of ways, the worse the movie is, the better you feel.
The better I feel, and the more I enjoy myself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Not a lot. You don't go to a lot of art films. I'm just gonna go out there on a limb and say art film, not your first stop.
No.
Yeah. European handcrafted art films, not really your thing.
Film at a very prestigious film university, so I have.
Oh, I can tell.
I have to say yes. I see all of the art films, and I'm very up on European and especially French New Wave, which is a phrase that I heard once.
Okay, great. So how'd you like it? How'd you like 27 Dresses?
I think it's horrible.
Okay.
I think it's a horrible movie, and yet I really enjoyed myself watching it.
Okay.
The same way, like there are foods that are, like Otter Pops. I'm not going to defend the Otter Pops.
Gotcha.
But I'll sit down and eat 10 of them.
But see, this is where I get confused, because whereas I clearly will go way too far defending things that are not good but that I love.
Right.
You are simply willing to on your own show just drop it and say, I don't really have an opinion. I just like to sit and go have an opinion. Watch it.
It's a bad movie. It is a bad movie by, I think, any yardstick.
I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I almost didn't make it. Like this almost broke me, and I almost had to stop.
Wow.
About a half hour in, I really was like, I paused the movie, and I really had to think about whether I could go on. And I can't say that.
I don't know why this is making me so happy.
I can't say that. I can't say that Amelia felt any differently.
I wouldn't.
My lovely wife and I, we were watching the film together, and I noticed something about her. And one of the many reasons that I fell in love with her and wanted to marry her was because she hates this stuff more than me. Like she has zero tolerance for it. She got angry at you for thinking that you had made this happen to her. I had to say this wasn't actually your fault. I forgot that it's Seth's fault, but I was trying to.
My sister-in-law got angry at me.
She was actually upset. Like, why did you pick this? What? She was upset. So I almost didn't make it, and then I gathered myself. Make that of what you will. And I finished the film.
Okay.
Holy hell. Okay. What's it about? Who did it? Why is it here?
What's it about? What it's about is a young woman, Katherine Heigl, who has dreamed of her own wedding since she was lost her mother as a young girl, and then went to a wedding, and that's where she feels like she saw her purpose in life. Was she just loved weddings, and she has helped. She's not actually a wedding planner who gets paid for planning weddings, which is what I thought was going to happen, but she has planned 27 weddings for 27 of her friends because she's really good at it and she loves them so much. And she's been in 27 weddings and she has 27 bridesmaids dresses.
First of all, I don't
Did I lose you already?
27 friends? What?
People she knows.
Okay. Fine.
27 people she knows whose weddings she's been in.
Okay. So we have a completely obsessed person, like a completely I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Continue.
And then her sister, who's a vapid, selfish gal, returns to town, and our heroine, Katherine Heigl, is in love with her boss. But when her sister comes to town, she sweeps the boss off his feet, and they're going to get married. And of course, she wants her sister to help her plan the wedding, and she does. And at the same time, she has run into the guy who, unbeknownst to her, is the guy who writes all of the style pieces on all of the big weddings. And he, by accident, ends up with her day planner and decides that he can write a story on her and her 27 dresses that will finally break him out of just having to write the wedding fluff and turn him into a real.
Which, when you think about it for 30 seconds, is a stupid plan, because if you're going to write the best piece on weddings ever written, chances are they're going to want you to continue to do that.
Right.
But, far be it for me to start shooting.
But this is a serious movie. This is a serious movie because James Marsden, as the journalist, is interested in serious social issues, like how corporate America is taking over the whole wedding business, and he wants to expose that. That's a serious issue that needs to be addressed. No?
Look, funny you mentioned Marsden, because I couldn't believe it that I was grateful for him at every single turn, because I honestly think, look, I'm a big Judy Greer fan.
Oh my God.
Love Judy Greer.
I was saving this. Sorry, that noise was me taking the cork out of my bottle here because clearly I need more help to get through this episode.
And I get upset when I see, I'm glad Judy Greer is getting paid for this movie, and I'm glad Chloe Hesse got a couple of cents from our friend singing,
Yeah.
I don't know Judy Greer. I'm just a big fan of hers. And when you have somebody that talented, just clearly not know how to make this material work, I get upset. That's kind of like, in a way, what made me want to turn it off, is because it just didn't even seem like the people making it were having any fun.
No, she did have my favorite moment in the whole movie, and she did seem to be having fun in this moment. I think representing all of us, actually.
I don't remember.
She got to slap Katherine Heigl in the face really hard.
Uh-huh.
My favorite moment of the movie.
I guess I remember. Yeah, yeah. I don't. It's funny because, like, I just made a big thing about this on the paranormal podcast, but I was like, I really don't care usually that I don't like people in a movie. I don't have to. It's not a thing that I feel is integral for me to enjoy a film. I don't need to identify with the characters or feel like I'm them or feel like they're me. They can be whatever they want to be. They can be morally bankrupt. They can be great people or terrible people.
I'm hoping they are morally bankrupt. Those are clearly the people I want to hang out with. as we've established.
Yeah, well, that's your thing, obviously, but there are a lot of people out there who like their movies and their TV content to be kind of filled with aspirational characters or characters that they feel want, that they want to be. I never was like that. I don't absolutely don't care. Just I'm as interested in a movie with people I don't like as I do like. And this movie, I was like, I just don't like these people. Then it really turned me off. Like one of the first times that I ever saw a movie where everybody, it's just that kind of nasty, nippy, nasty TV kind of writing. The snippy, everybody's just kind of snippy, snappy at each other. Yeah. And that's all it does. It's just that surface kind of thing. And it's faux sentimentality. And I mean, like, Katherine Heigl's character couldn't have been less, I didn't feel for her.
Likeable? No.
She's not likable at all.
No, but also Katherine Heigl to me is, if you were like the biggest producer in Hollywood, right? And you said to your assistant, okay, or the casting director, you said, I'm going to give you $20 million and I want you to go out there and get me Charlize. Here's $20 million. Go out there and get me Charlize Theron for this movie. And your casting director, your assistant went out and blew that $20 million on meth. So they only had like $70 left. Mm. So they had to go to Big Lots to get your actor. And they'd come back with Katherine Heigl and say, here, this is a version.
Okay. No, I don't know, not being a TV watcher, I don't really know Katherine Heigl, not being a rom-com watcher. I guess I don't really know her work is what I'm saying. So
you do now.
Well, okay. Is this indicative of what she's always like? I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Don't really, not responding, but I hear she, what was the show she was on? That was, I don't know any of this.
Grey's Anatomy.
She was on Grey's Anatomy. That's right. And then she, left that show thinking that she was going to be a big movie star. Huge. And it, Seth Michael May, she fired her makeup person just to see that she could do it, is the rumor. Okay. Well, rumors, especially from Grey's. Sandra Smith. Katherine Heigl doesn't play the most likable character, especially from Grey's. Sandra. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know. I don't know her flavor. I don't know what her persona is. So but
it I wouldn't somebody likable.
I just had no. I couldn't understand. There didn't seem to be any reason to make her not likable. Like there was absolutely no reason for it. And normally it does. Like I said, it doesn't bother me. But this just was like, I think. I couldn't care less about their interests, the way they went about them, her long suffering shtick. Just, is this what it's all like, man?
All rom-coms?
It can't be.
No.
I've seen a few.
Are not like this. No.
So can I ask a question in your mind?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of comedies, like, for instance, anything with like Kristen Wiig movies. I love her stuff. I love Bridesmaids. But Bridesmaids is not a rom-com, right? That's a comedy.
Yeah, I'd call that more a comedy.
That's a buddy that's like a dirty midnight comedy.
It ends up having a romance in it with Chris O'Dowd.
But so does every comedy.
Yeah, but it's not a rom-com. No, it's not a rom-com.
It also has less moralizing in it than most rom-coms and comedies that they make in this country, which I appreciated, but it's always there too, where I'm like, every comedy has to have a half an hour of saccharine, fake, sad, our friendship's over and I'm sad, and then I've learned something about myself and we're going to share it, and none of it's relevant, none of it's actual or meaningful. It's just, for some reason, we've got to stop laughing for half an hour for fake characters to come to marginally moral conclusions. Maybe that's unfair.
No, I don't think it's unfair. I'm feeling so bad for having, again, enjoyed this movie that I will not defend and that I think is a horrible movie.
What did you enjoy about it? Other than I know.
Like
Okay,
I'm in
let's
trouble.
differentiate. You enjoyed your experience because you had 10 popsicles with you, and you were in a comfortable position, and you weren't doing things that you ordinarily would be doing that you didn't want to do, like paying bills or other stuff. You were enjoying yourself from that standpoint. I can understand that. What else about the experience did you enjoy? I'm curious.
It has not to do so much with anything about this movie in particular, as that, as my kids will both tell you, and I'm going to admit this in front of 5 people who are watching the show.
5 people.
Yeah. I am a sap. I cried probably at 1 out of 3 episodes of How I Met Your Mother. So even the end of this movie, I cried at, which has nothing to do with the filmmaking or the storytelling. It's merely just somehow the fact that in this horrible world, and against all evidence to the contrary as to how the world actually operates,
even worse things can happen on celluloid.
No, that somehow, as bad and as horrible as this is, that there's still this, and boy, am I going to alienate you with this, I know, but still this part of some people that want to believe in an unadulterated fantasy happy ending.
That's okay. I hear you. I resent what you just said a little bit. Because I don't see what this has to do with happy endings. That's not what I find. That's not why I think this is a genre that I don't respond to. It's not the happiness or the laughter or the joy or the romance, believe it or not. Because I'm a crusty guy, but I'm romantic deep down. I don't find this to be a celebration of anything but vacuousness. It didn't make me feel good.
Maybe
This
that's
ending,
what I like. Maybe I like vacuousness.
Okay. It's really hard to talk to you about it because you have this Aikido ability. You just have this complete Aikido ability
I feel like my position is indefensible on any aesthetic grounds or intellectual or moral grounds. I feel like my enjoyment of it is indefensible.
Well, but you did imply though there was something wrong with me though, that there was something wrong that I couldn't, that I was dead inside, or that I couldn't, you did feel like there was slightly better people might like this more, get something out of this. If my heart were bigger.
No, not better people. I'm so stuck.
Well, it's fine. I guess I'm glad you don't feel passionately about this movie, this version. Can you tell me, give me a rom-com from that decade. So this movie came out in 2008. So from like the early 2000s, a rom-com that you actually love and feel is like. So this isn't a good version. This isn't a good example, but give me a good.
I don't know if it's the same time period, but I love Notting Hill.
I think Notting Hill's earlier.
It's earlier,
but not a lot. I mean, like maybe late 90s or something. Notting Hill.
Bridget Jones's Diary is fun.
I'm sorry, there was a glitch in the Matrix. I'm back. Okay, Notting Hill, I saw in the theater. I remember seeing that one in the theater, and being it won me over.
It did.
I didn't go expecting to like it. But honestly, I do like British comedy kind of. So British rom-coms may have an edge for me because I love British humor, and when it's mixed in with the saccharine stupid rom-com tropes, I like it a little bit better.
Right. Okay, well, not a movie, but How I Met Your Mother.
Never seen it.
You've never seen it,
because it's a TV show.
I had never seen it either. And when my kids came to visit me, and we're hanging out one afternoon, they're like, "Let's watch an episode of How I Met Your Mother." I'm like, "I'm not going to watch that piece of crap. What a stupid show that is." And they both looked at me and they said, "Have you ever seen it?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, watch the pilot with us." So all right, I'll watch the pilot with you. It ran for 9 seasons. And I sat down and watched the pilot, and it was in the middle of the 8th season when I watched the pilot. And I think within a month and a half, I'd caught up because I loved it.
Okay. That's a half-hour sitcom?
Yeah.
Network?
Yeah.
Can we move on? Because I can't. There's no way. I won't even see it.
I know.
But you legitimately, but you see, I should see it, you're saying. Are you saying that if I saw it?
No, I'm not saying you should see it. I'm saying I loved it. And I'm not going to defend that.
You are hard to have a movie conversation with. You're very hard. It's hard to have a movie conversation.
Not always about this particular kind of movie. Maybe it's because it puts a Band-Aid on some deep childhood wound. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. This is too dark. This is too deep. Nobody in podcast land needs to hear us talk about deep childhood wound.
All right, let's move on to other things about this movie then. Are there any other things to talk about?
Dude, you have to take the lead because I'm going to show you. Want to see my notes? I was ready to go.
Oh, wow. No notes.
About 20 minutes in, Amelia and I had something happened and she said, "Wait, what?" And I wrote down, "How does she know?" Didn't finish the sentence. I put my pen down. I was like, I don't even care what I was saying. Help me here.
Help you? Okay. Well, I'm just going to go into, there was a moment in it where I thought, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Yeah, no, never mind. I thought at one point, I said, okay, they've jumped the track in a way that I don't think they're going to be able to get back, even for me.
Okay.
Which was when she plays the video at the rehearsal dinner and outs her sister, and the way she does that, I thought was off the okay, I'm going to back up. Had they cast the lead in this movie differently, I think the whole experience might have been different. Through a lot of the film. And because I think the setup is actually possible to make that setup work if we felt differently about the actor playing the central character. But I find Katherine Heigl to be incredibly unsympathetic in every way. So I had to sort of put like a little psychic cutout over her as I was watching the movie, saying, I'm going to imagine this story with Joan Cusack in that role. Or somebody.
See, I think that I hear you, but I think Judy Greer is a great example of why that's not going to work, because this movie is death to a talented actor. This movie would destroy a good performance if it saw one. Honestly, I mean, if Judy Greer was like not happening in this film, why?
Okay, but what I want you to but where does that lie? Is it in the script? Is it an underlying story? Is it in the script?
Yes.
Is it in the direction?
Yes. I mean, it is. It is. Okay. Subject matter.
That's where I disagree. I think the seeds of the story work as a rom-com.
Okay. Okay.
That if we handed a lot of this script to a more talented director and a different cast, I think it could have been pulled off in a very different way.
That's true. Different people would have made a different movie, and it would have been different.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, honestly, the wedding thing, and it's kind of discussed in the movie. I just feel like maybe that's something that's dated or something. I feel like that level of adulation of the wedding industry, and essentially a movie that's about the wedding industry, and the wedding industry, I'm sure, had all their products were, I'm sure there was just a lot of payback for the wedding industry.
Probably.
It's an ad for something that I don't really think is that great a thing. And I think it's selling a fantasy to people that can't afford it most of the time, and ruins their lives because they throw a party they can't, that is meaningless to them, really. But it's like, so there's something about it that I find, and I'm married. I loved my wedding. I love being married. It's not that. It's just that
I loved your wedding too.
The modern, prefabricated concept of weddings. It's just like, it makes me kind of ill, honestly. And so I can't get behind like the attitude about weddings in the movie. I feel is weird, even though they try to, say like, Marsden's opinion is like she learned something about herself and grows up a little bit, but then they end with a wedding that's just as ridiculous as every other wedding in it. So there's absolutely 0 point of view at all about what the subject is. And I feel like movies like this, they could be funny or romantic, all of this stuff. They could be just ridiculous and fluffy and fun, but they could also have, a viewpoint that's something other than a studio sanctioned. It just feels like a product placement movie. So I don't know what, I don't see the movie here is the problem. I mean, I see a calculated little whirring machine that's there to vacuum in money for studios.
Then I want to make you a promise. I'm never going to make you watch this movie again.
I won't, but I don't mind this rom-com thing. I want to be pushed and tested. I just I should probably come up with a list of rom-coms that I actually really do like. I just don't watch them.
Because you mentioned one last week, but I don't think it's a rom-com. I think it's a madcap comedy. When you mentioned bringing up Baby, which I don't think of as a rom-com. I think of it as
it's a screwball comedy. It's a screwball comedy.
Screwball comedy, yeah.
But there are rom-coms I think that you'd classify from that period that I like. I love Philadelphia Story. Is that a rom-com?
I'm not sure. But Woman of the Year is an Adams Rib.
Love those.
Yeah, you love those.
I would think Philadelphia Story, I think, is a
probably.
I mean, it's an exceptionally well written rom-com.
Yeah,
but
Charade, different time period. Charade is a thriller rom-com.
Okay. Yeah. Or do you feel like that? I mean, a rom-com something that really came into existence more in the 50s and 60s? Or is that like more like Rock Hudson and Doris Day? Did they kind of create what we know as the rom-com today?
Yeah,
is that the template?
I don't know enough about the history actually, but probably.
Okay,
that sounds right to me. And then certainly things like You've Got Mail and
Sleepless in Seattle,
and When Harry Met Sally.
Okay, but then you're talking, so if those, and I like those, I mean, who doesn't? Yeah. Who can have a problem with that? I mean, that's probably, you're probably naming like the
the good
2001
one.
of Romcoms.
Yeah,
But, you know.
yeah. This is not, though, and I would put this at the bottom.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is that it is just I like the genre enough to enjoy even the horrible ones.
Totally fair point. That I understand.
That's what I'm, and then to get away from the good or bad of this movie itself, I do want to get into just some shout outs about it. Bobby Clohessy, always
nice to see Clohessy.
Michael Paul, the actor who played Khalil, the cab driver, I thought was lovely.
He did a nice job.
Funny,
he did a really nice job.
Michael Mosley, who plays Bar Dude, who's virtually unnoticeable in this movie. He's one of the guys in the bar who's really into it when they're singing, and then he comes into the diner in the morning and recognizes them from the night before. But he has since built a bit of a career playing psychotic bad guys and killers on a couple of shows. He played the Triple K killer, Jerry Tyson, on a show I like called Castle. And then he had a long arc on Criminal Minds, and his daughter killed me on Criminal Minds.
Oh, she literally killed you.
She literally shot me.
Excellent.
But what I want to say about Michael Mosley, aside from his acting, is in the scene where I get shot, I was closing in on 60 at the time, and I had to fall about 12 or 14 times without padding onto a floor with no mattress, or I just had to get shot and fall down. Mm-hmm. And after the first take, after I'd hit the ground, they call cut, and he walks over to me and sticks out his hand and helps me up, which was, a nice thing to do. And he did it on every subsequent take. Came over, you okay? Helped me up. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was pretty cool for another actor in a scene to just, like a mensch, come over and do that every time.
You don't always get that attitude.
You're not. Melora Hardin, who played James Marsden's boss, I have a special place in my heart for her from her work on The Office. I thought was terrific. And then other people I want to call out in not such a nice way. I want to call out Malin Ackerman's acting teacher for never explaining to her that you do not need to slap your thighs for emphasis in a scene. That's not how we convey strong emotion, by slapping our thighs.
Okay.
Edward Burns, I just felt like I love him often, and I just felt like he so wanted to be somewhere else through the whole movie.
Yeah, he really looked like he wanted to be somewhere else.
He was almost looking at his watch.
Mm-hmm. I felt that about almost everybody, to be honest. I mean, I'd like to give a shout out to somebody I just worked with, actually, a wonderful actor and very funny lady, Danielle Skrastad. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Skrastad. She played one of the brides in this, that one of the friends who was getting married, the one who she was helping with the dress when she had to pee.
Oh yeah, that was very.
They had a funny scene. That was a funny scene. Danielle's really great.
Brian Kerwin I like too. There's something just sort of authentic and gentle and genuine about him.
Who?
Brian Kerwin, the dad.
Oh, the dad. Yeah, I've always liked Brian Kerwin.
And then an interesting appearance of Kristen Ritter, who's gone on to be huge in the Marvel universe as Jennifer Jones. Kristen Ritter played the goth girl.
Okay.
Not a lot to do.
I will say though that I was kind of surprised with James Marsden. I appreciated his presence in this movie. I didn't necessarily think that I would. I don't really know his stuff. I know he's in X-Men movies, and I've seen a couple of them. I haven't really seen all of them, and I know he's been in some comedies, some like broad comedies. I don't really know his work, but I thought he was, for somebody who was really miscast as a wedding writer about weddings like that. I just didn't believe that. I thought he had a lot of charm and a lot of ease to him that that I appreciated. It's a little bit like he just had a little more energy, a little more commitment to being on screen than everybody else did that movie, and I kind of liked him. How did you feel about him?
A lot. I don't know him from the X-Men movies because I'm not a fan of the franchise. I don't watch those. Or I got to know him first was in another movie I'm sure you adore, Enchanted. The Disney Princess Come to Life movie.
I have yet to see that film.
But he basically plays an animated Disney Prince Charming who then comes to life.
Oh, okay.
And he throws himself into it, just really great. And then he's also on a wonderful show with Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini called Dead to Me, where he plays a really reprehensible guy.
Cool.
A shallow, vapid, reprehensible guy.
Awesome.
And does a very good job of it.
Well, I mean, that's really cool. I'm glad you liked him too,
though, because he can sing, he can dance, and he's looks that way.
Obviously, one of the better looking men in the business right now.
Play ball, right? Like he's probably good on the ball team.
I'm sure he's an athlete. I'm sure there's all kinds of things, and he seems like he's funny and a sense of humor and a decent guy.
Hate that guy.
Hate him, but I'm actually like a fan. That was a nice takeaway for me to actually see a movie where I got introduced to an actor that I knew I should have known, and now I'm glad I do. I think I'll go to something he's in to see what he does.
Then I do also want to say something about the script, that this one of the worst lines I've heard in a long time. Strange as it sounds, I have had some really good times in those dresses, weird as that may be.
Yeah.
Strange as it sounds, weird as that may be. In the same, you don't need them both.
No, you don't.
Why didn't somebody cut that?
There are a couple of lines. I remember there were a few, but I was in too much of a stupor to write anything down. I was just like, this movie sucked all the energy out of me. But there were a few lines that just didn't make any sense grammatically, or that people didn't really think through. Malin Ackerman had a couple that were just like, that's not English, really. I don't know what you just said. I found like, okay. Honestly, I thought it was a little better shot than I was expecting. I liked the lighting a lot. Turns out the camera person is a really good DP and an Australian guy who did a movie called The Black Robe, which is a really great, stunning, fantastic movie, like an outdoor adventure movie. Don't know what he's doing in rom-com land, but some of this was a little better. And then then the studio lighting came in and it was horrible. So it was a real mixed bag.
What do you think of this shot? This was some interesting visual storytelling here. When the sister and Edward Burns meet, and we have the classic, oh my goodness, I'm caught in between these two people shot. That was special.
It was awful. I mean, the scene where he proposes to the sister is one of the worst staged creations I've ever looked at. I mean, why Katherine Heigl decides to be in that scene, in that shot, none of it makes any sense. I was upset. I was upset to see Judy Greer be put through that yoga scene. Like that was such a off-key, awful, just terribly written scene, and it just shouldn't happen to somebody like Judy Greer. And I'm glad she got paid. She tried to make it work.
We should all get paid. All right, I think we should leave this movie behind.
I'm happy to leave it behind.
Okay, let's leave it behind.
I don't even know.
There is one other thing I want to talk about tonight. Somebody went to the trouble to have our father tattooed on their arm.
What? Oh my God.
So there's Dad.
Wow.
Pretty great tattoo though, huh?
It's a great tattoo. I love it.
Fantastic tattoo. That was on Instagram. I believe I think it was Seth Michael May pointed that out to me
That is
on
awesome. I've got to
Instagram.
look for that. That's great.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. Dad's a tattoo. I wonder
Dad's a
if there's other
tattoo.
tattoos.
It's the scene for those of you in the podcast. Somebody tattooed on their forearm the scene from Little Miss Sunshine where everybody is running to get into the VW bus because they had to push start it, and now and our dad is leaning out the door helping people get in. It's kind of
That
an
is really cool.
gesture.
Wow. I bet somebody has a tattoo of Dad naked in a tree from Catch-22, but that's a
Ooh,
different kind of tattoo.
that's a whole different. I might have to get that one.
Like a big back piece.
What would be great is if one of us got Dad naked from behind when he's getting the medal.
Yeah, that would be good.
Tattooed on our back.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're.
That would be great.
2 generations. You could look at 2 generations of us naked at the same time from behind.
Who wouldn't want that? How about that? Would phonies do that?
Yeah,
I bet you phonies.
They would not.
Phonies wouldn't do that. I don't think.
I think not.
And neither would elitists. So take that.
So what are we doing next week? I think the field is wide open. We can stick with rom-coms. We can go in a completely different direction. We could do whatever Seth Michael May wants us to do.
That's always a good plan. Look, I'm happy to keep on rom-com town, but we gotta do better. Your heart's got to be in it. You got to fight for it. You got to pick one to fight for, even if I don't like it. We got to have something. There's got to be blood in the water. There's got to be some blood.
Some blood.
Because neither of us really cared about this one. I mean, it's hard. Like it's.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I would have turned it off on an airplane. Like I would literally have I would have just preferred to listen to somebody snore.
I might have turned it off on an airplane.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere.
But I still enjoyed myself. I hate to see.
Did you enjoy yourself while you were subjected to the Benny and the Jets scene in the bar? Did that make you happy? I felt like I had made a wrong turn in life when that happened. One of the most grating, nightmarish. I'm supposed to fall in love with these two people because they did that. And I'm like, there isn't anything happening here that I condone on any no.
All right.
No Benny and the Jets, no on the bar, dancing around, screaming, singing to 20 locals. Nobody, didn't ever happen once. Didn't ever happen. Not in a rom-com, not in a fantasy, not an enchanted.
It's going to happen in June with me and Bruce as we're driving across country. We're going to get up on the bar and sing.
Yeah. That's a different movie, and I would see that movie. I would direct that. I would direct that movie, but this is a different movie.
Okay. So what's coming up?
Well, I mean, obviously nobody's writing in to tell us what to do.
Nobody's telling us what to watch.
Well, I'm happy to stick to rom-com. I'd rather not. I don't feel like it's our wheelhouse.
Let's not subject people to listening to this. We can talk about this off the air and we'll announce what we're going to do next week.
Should we do this? Would make Seth happy. Oh wait, no, I don't know, because maybe he was going to do that. Seth, if you're still listening,
we may have even lost him.
He probably wouldn't even be interested at this point, but I can't remember if he was going to do it or not. We could do. Let's go back to 80s action movies.
Okay.
Or spy stuff.
Okay. Patriot Games.
I haven't seen Patriot Games in a really long time.
There's Patriot Games. There's In the Line of Fire. There's
Let's do In the Line of Fire. I haven't seen that in years.
In the
And I
Line
like
of Fire.
and
Okay.
that was one I enjoyed. So I could totally see that one again.
All right. In the Line of Fire.
All right.
Next week.
Back in the sweet spot.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Are you disappointed?
Not at all.
Because if you want to do Notting Hill, that's cool too. I haven't seen that in a long time.
No. We're good. We're good. In the Line of Fire next week.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
Bye.
Bye.